4 years of my life dedicated to James. 4 years of love, laughter, and dreams. I still remember the night he proposed at the rooftop restaurant where we had our first date. The diamond ring sparkled under the city lights as I imagined our future together. Some friends had warned me that James seemed controlling, but I dismissed their concerns. Love is about compromise, right? Little did I know that a single conversation would shatter everything I believed about our relationship. Before I share his final words that changed everything, let me know where you are watching from, and hit that subscribe button to never miss another true story about love and betrayal. I first met James 5 years ago at an art exhibition in downtown Manhattan. The gallery buzzed with people admiring modern art pieces while sipping champagne from delicate flutes. I stood in front of an abstract painting trying to decipher its meaning when a confident voice spoke beside me. "The artist uses chaos to represent inner turmoil," James said, his blue eyes twinkling with intelligence. "I find it fascinating how something so disorganized can still feel intentional." His tailored suit and perfectly styled hair screamed success, but it was his articulate understanding of the artwork that captured my attention. We spent the entire evening moving from piece to piece, discussing techniques and interpretations. By the end of the night, he had my phone number and a promise for dinner that weekend. The first few months with James were magical. He took me to exclusive restaurants where staff greeted him by name. Weekend getaways to coastal towns in his convertible. Surprise gifts delivered to my office. I felt special in ways I never had before. "You deserve the finer things in life, Kylie," he would say while presenting me with another expensive gift. At 28, I was working as a junior designer at a small creative agency. My salary barely covered my rent and student loans, so James's lavish lifestyle seemed like a dream. I felt proud walking into high-end events on his arm, introduced to his circle of successful friends. The first sign something was off came 6 months into our relationship. We were preparing for dinner with his colleagues when James frowned at my outfit. "That dress is a bit casual for Le Cirque, don't you think? Maybe wear the blue one I bought you last month." His suggestion seemed reasonable enough. The blue dress was beautiful and certainly more appropriate for an upscale restaurant. But these comments became more frequent, extending beyond clothing to my hairstyle, makeup, and even how I spoke. "Maybe don't mention your community college background tonight," he advised before a dinner with his friends. These people value prestigious education. My college wasn't fancy, but I had worked incredibly hard for my degree. Still, I nodded and steered conversations away from my education that night. James also had opinions about my friends. Amanda, my best friend since high school, was too loud and lacked sophistication. Taylor, my roommate from college, was going nowhere in life with her nonprofit job. "You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with," James would remind me. "If you want to grow, you need to surround yourself with ambitious people." Gradually, I started declining invitations from my old friends. Our weekly brunches became monthly, then barely quarterly. I told myself it was because I was busy building a future with James, not because I was embarrassed to introduce them to each other. My sister Katie noticed the changes first. During our monthly lunch, she studied me across the table. "You seem different," she said, stirring her coffee. "Your clothes, your hair, even the way you talk." "This isn't you, Kylie." "I am growing up," I defended myself. "James helps me see how I can improve myself." "There is a difference between growth and transformation to please someone else," she replied, but I dismissed her concern as jealousy. By our second anniversary, I had transformed. My colorful wardrobe replaced with neutral designer pieces. My spontaneous nature tamed into careful consideration of what James would approve. I became acutely aware of the gap between us that I desperately tried to bridge by becoming someone else. After 2 years together, James suggested I move into his downtown luxury apartment. The 2,000-square-foot space featured floor-to-ceiling windows with panoramic city views, sleek modern furniture, and abstract art pieces worth more than my annual salary. "We can redecorate if you want," James offered half-heartedly while showing me around. When I suggested adding some colorful throw pillows and personal photos, his expression tightened. "The interior designer created a specific aesthetic," he explained. "Random additions would disrupt the visual harmony." My belongings ended up mostly in storage. The few personal items I brought occupied a small corner of his vast walk-in closet. I lived there for months feeling like a guest who needed to ask permission to adjust the thermostat or use the kitchen appliances. Meeting James's family elevated my anxiety to new heights. His father, Richard, was a retired investment banker with old money connections. His mother, Eleanor, came from a lineage of socialites who appeared in society pages. Their summer home in the Hamptons intimidated me with its grandeur and history. During Sunday dinners, Eleanor would casually mention daughters of their friends. Jennifer Turner just got engaged to a senator's son, she would say while passing dishes. Her mother is thrilled. The girl graduated from Vassar and now works at her father's investment firm. These comments always felt pointed reminders that I lacked the pedigree they expected for their son. Richard was more direct with his disapproval. When are you planning to advance in your career? Kylie, design is fine for a hobby, but surely you have greater ambitions. James never defended me during these conversations. Sometimes he would squeeze my hand under the table, a silent plea for patience, but never a word of support. Our financial dynamic shifted gradually after moving in together. Initially, James covered most expenses since his income dwarfed mine. Then came the spreadsheets tracking our expenditures and discussions about fair contribution. You should pay 30% of our shared expenses, he declared one evening. I know it is more than proportional to our incomes, but it will motivate you to earn more. To meet these expectations, I took freelance design projects on evenings and weekends. While James attended networking events or played golf with clients, I hunched over my laptop creating logos and brochures for extra income. My creativity became a commodity to fund the lifestyle James expected. Our arguments about money intensified. When I suggested more affordable restaurants or activities, James accused me of not supporting his social position. My colleagues expect certain standards, he would say. I cannot show up at neighborhood diners or public beaches. Despite these tensions, I convinced myself everything would stabilize once we married. That magical evening came after 4 years together. James reserved the entire rooftop of the restaurant where we first dined. Rose petals scattered across the floor, champagne flowing freely, and a photographer documenting every moment. He knelt before me with a 3-carat diamond ring. Kylie Thompson, will you make me the happiest man alive by becoming my wife? Tears clouded my vision as I said yes, believing this commitment would finally secure my place in his world. The fantasy lasted exactly 2 weeks. Then came the prenuptial agreement, a 20-page document created by his family attorney. It stipulated I would receive nothing if our marriage lasted less than 5 years. Any career advancement or business I developed during our marriage would be considered marital property while his existing assets remained protected. This is standard for someone in my position, James explained when I questioned the terms. My family has worked generations to build our wealth. During the same period, he casually mentioned his expectation that I would eventually leave my job. Once we have children, you will want to focus on family, he stated confidently. Besides, my wife will have social obligations that require flexibility. I pushed these concerns aside, focusing instead on wedding plans and the promise of becoming Mrs. James Harrington. Despite growing anxiety and sleepless nights, I clung to hope that marriage would transform our relationship for the better. 6 months into our engagement, I discovered the truth that shattered my illusions. James had left his laptop open when rushing to an early meeting. A notification chimed, drawing my attention to his screen. A message preview appeared from someone named Samantha, missing you already. Last night was incredible. My stomach knotted as I clicked on the message thread. Hundreds of exchanges between them dating back 6 months revealed an intimate relationship with a woman who worked at his firm. Pictures, explicit messages, and plans for secret meetings filled the conversation history. Most devastating were James's words about me. Kylie is fine, but marrying her is more about appeasing my family's expectations for settling down. They don't know about us. Another message read, once this wedding obligation is handled, we can figure out our situation. She suspects nothing. I sat frozen for hours reading through their conversations. Samantha was from a wealthy family, had attended Princeton, and moved in the same social circles as James. Everything I wasn't. When James returned that evening, I confronted him with my discovery. His initial denials crumbled when I quoted specific messages. You weren't supposed to see those, he said, as if that was the real problem. How could you do this? My voice barely rose above a whisper. 6 months, James. Half of our engagement. He loosened his tie and sighed heavily suddenly, looking annoyed rather than apologetic. This isn't working, Kylie. I have tried to help you fit into my world, but the truth is you never will. Help me fit in, I repeated incredulously. Is that what you call controlling everything about me? I have given you opportunities most women would kill for, he snapped. Designer, clothes, luxury vacations, connections to important people. And still, you remain. Ordinary. The word hung between us, dripping with disdain. Samantha understands my world because she was born into it, he continued. You will always be struggling to keep up. I expected to feel devastated, but instead a strange calm washed over me. 4 years of trying to be someone else suddenly seemed absurd. So all this time I was just some project you were trying to improve. I thought you had potential, he replied coldly. But now I see the truth. You are not worthy of being my wife. I need someone of my caliber. Someone who enhances my position rather than diminishes it. To his visible shock, I laughed. Not a bitter chuckle, but genuine laughter that bubbled up from somewhere deep inside me. You know what, James, you just gave me the greatest gift possible. His expression darkened with confusion. I am leaving, I stated simply. Tonight. Don't be dramatic, he scoffed. Where will you go? Back to your pathetic apartment with roommates. You have nothing without me. I walked to our closet, pulling out a suitcase. I have everything without you. I have myself again. As I packed essentials, James cycled through tactics to regain control. First came anger, then dismissal of my feelings as overreaction. When those failed, he attempted financial intimidation. You will never maintain this lifestyle on your own, he warned. No more luxury shopping, no more connections to help your mediocre career. I zipped my suitcase closed and looked at him directly. I would rather eat ramen noodles in peace than filet mignon with someone who sees me as inferior. Walking out that door was the most liberating moment of my life. I left behind designer clothes, expensive jewelry, and the crushing weight of inadequacy. With just one suitcase and my dignity intact, I stepped into the elevator without looking back. 1 week later, James made his relationship with Samantha public on social media. The caption read, "Finally with someone who truly compliments me." His friends and family flooded the post with congratulations, many who had smiled to my face just weeks before. The first month after leaving James was undeniably difficult. I moved into my sister Katie's spare bedroom, crying myself to sleep most nights. Not because I missed James, but because I mourned the years spent trying to be someone else. I barely recognize myself anymore, I confessed to Katie one evening. My clothes, my interests, even my vocabulary changed to please him. Then this is your chance to rediscover yourself, she replied, squeezing my hand. The real Kylie is still in there. She helped me create a plan. First, I needed financial stability. My salary covered basic expenses, but finding affordable housing in the city seemed impossible. Then Katie suggested something practical, taking on a roommate. My colleague Diane is looking for a place. She is trustworthy and quiet. You two could find something together. Within 3 weeks, Diane and I signed a lease for a modest 2-bedroom apartment. Our furniture consisted of secondhand finds and budget-friendly pieces. It wasn't luxury, but every item reflected choices made without someone else's approval. Next came reconnecting with friends I had neglected. I called Amanda first, terrified she would reject me after months of canceled plans. I have been the worst friend, I admitted when we met for coffee. James made me believe you weren't good enough for my new life. Honey, I knew exactly what was happening, she replied kindly. I have just been waiting for you to find your way back. One by one, I rebuilt relationships I had damaged. Some friends needed time to trust me again, which I respected. Others welcomed me back, immediately expressing concern about how isolated I had become. Work became my sanctuary. Without James dictating my schedule or criticizing my career choice, I poured creativity into projects. My supervisor noticed the change. Your designs have more personality lately, she commented during a review. There is boldness I haven't seen before. 6 months after the breakup, I received my first promotion to senior designer. The salary increase wasn't enormous, but it represented advancement on my own terms. I celebrated with friends at a casual neighborhood restaurant that James would have deemed beneath him. Almost 8 months had passed when I met Michael. I had signed up for a weekend design workshop to enhance my digital illustration skills. He was the instructor, a freelance designer who had built his own successful studio from scratch. Unlike James, who commanded attention when entering a room, Michael created space for others to shine. During the 2-day workshop, he made sure every participant had opportunities to share ideas and receive personalized feedback. "Your work shows exceptional attention to emotional impact," he told me while reviewing my project. "That is something that cannot be taught." We exchanged business cards, keeping things professional. 2 weeks later, he emailed about a potential freelance opportunity with one of his clients. Our meeting over coffee extended into lunch as we discovered shared interests in independent films and community art projects. Michael never commented on my appearance or suggested improvements to my personality. Instead, he asked questions about my design philosophy and listened attentively to my answers. When I mentioned my interest in starting a small design business, eventually he offered practical advice rather than dismissal. "Starting small gives you creative control," he explained. I began with just 3 clients working from my kitchen table. Our relationship developed organically over several months. No lavish displays or performative gestures, just genuine connection built on mutual respect. When I shared my experience with James, Michael expressed outrage not at my naivety, but at how I had been treated. "Someone who truly loves you would never make you feel unworthy," he said. Almost a year after my breakup, news about James and Samantha reached me through mutual acquaintances. Their relationship had imploded spectacularly. Samantha had left James for a wealthy tech entrepreneur and announced their engagement merely weeks later. Even more surprising, James had been asked to leave his position at the firm following accusations of inappropriate conduct with subordinates. His carefully constructed image of success was crumbling. Then the messages started. First came a casual text, "Hope you are doing well. Would love to catch up sometime." I did not respond. Next came emails reminiscing about our special connection and how he had been reflecting on his mistakes. These too went unanswered. Finally, late one night, a lengthy message arrived. "I made the biggest mistake of my life letting you go. No one understands me like you did. Samantha was a horrible mistake. Please give me another chance to make things right. I miss you every day." I showed the message to Michael, who had by then become an essential part of my life. We had moved in together after dating for 8 months, creating a home that reflected both our personalities. "Are you going to respond?" Michael asked, without a trace of jealousy or concern. "He doesn't miss me," I replied. "He misses having someone who would change everything to please him." We deleted the message together and continued planning our weekend. I had found someone who celebrated rather than tolerated my authentic self. A year and a half after leaving, James Michael proposed during a quiet evening at home. No photographers, no elaborate setup, just sincere words and a simple ring that represented genuine commitment. "I love who you are, not who you could become," he said. "I want to build a life with you exactly as you are." We planned a small wedding with only close friends and family. I wore a colorful dress that the old James would have disapproved of, and my sister served as my maid of honor. On our wedding day, another desperate message arrived from James. "I just heard about your engagement. You are making a terrible mistake. We belong together. Please call me before you do something you will regret." Michael glanced at my phone screen and raised an eyebrow. Impeccable timing. We laughed together and I handed him my phone. "Would you do the honors?" Michael deleted the message and we joined our guests for the celebration. As we exchanged vows, I felt nothing but gratitude for words that once hurt me deeply. Without them, I might never have found the courage to reclaim myself and discover what genuine love feels like. 1 year into marriage with Michael, life bears no resemblance to my time with James. We live in a cozy apartment filled with eclectic furniture and colorful art pieces we have collected together. My small design business has gained 5 regular clients, allowing me to reduce hours at my agency job. Michael's studio continues to thrive, and we often collaborate on projects combining our different design strengths. Our relationship remains built on equality and respect, with decisions made together through honest communication. James still attempts contact occasionally. Last month, he sent a LinkedIn request with a message about networking opportunities. 3 weeks ago, a mutual friend mentioned James asked for my new phone number, which she rightfully refused to provide. Looking back at those 4 years, I barely recognize the woman who desperately tried to fit into someone else's idea of worthiness. The painful words, "You are not worthy of being my wife," that once cut deeply now seem almost comical in their arrogance. What James never understood was that worthiness isn't something bestowed upon you by someone else. It exists within, requiring no external validation or approval. Every time I compromised my identity to please him, I reinforced his belief that I needed his acceptance to have value. The journey back to myself wasn't immediate or simple. There were moments of doubt and financial struggles, nights wondering if I had made a mistake. But each small decision reclaiming my authentic self strengthened my conviction that leaving was the only possible choice. My sister Katie recently asked if I regret those years with James. Surprisingly, I don't. Those experiences, however painful, shaped my understanding of healthy relationships and self-worth. Without knowing what it feels like to lose yourself, perhaps you cannot fully appreciate what it means to be found. Sometimes the most hurtful rejections become our greatest redirections. James telling me I wasn't worthy enough to be his wife ultimately led me to a partner who never questions my worth at all. His cruel words became the catalyst for reclaiming my authentic self and finding genuine happiness. Everyone deserves a relationship where they are valued for exactly who they are, not for who someone else wants them to become. True love doesn't require constant improvement or adjustment to meet impossible standards. It thrives in acceptance and grows through mutual respect. Have you ever found yourself changing to please someone else? I would love to hear your stories in the comments below. If this journey resonated with you, please hit that like button and subscribe to hear more stories about finding strength after heartbreak. Share this with someone who might need a reminder of their inherent worthiness. Thank you for listening, and remember, the most important relationship you will ever have is the one with yourself.